Picture this. You're sitting there in a beautiful sunlit salon chair.
Oh, yeah, we have all been there.
Right. And you're just looking around the room at the gorgeous brass-framed mirrors, the minimalist aesthetic. You're taking in that steady, buzzing energy of hair dryers and lively conversation all around you.
It's a great vibe, very high energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while you're sitting there, you watch the person in the chair next to you walk up to the front desk, pull out their credit card, and just casually drop like a couple $100 for an extensive color treatment.
Yeah, without even blinking.
Right. And as you sit there, sipping your complimentary sparkling water, taking it all in, you really can't help but think to yourself, wow, this place must be an absolute goldmine.
It is such a natural conclusion to draw, honestly. I mean, when you are looking from the outside in, the beauty industry really does project this aura of being just like the perfect business model.
It really does.
It feels affluent, it feels constantly busy, and the cash register just never seems to stop ringing.
Yeah, and logically, it makes total sense. You have this passionate recurring client base because, well, hair grows.
It always grows.
Right, people are always going to need haircuts every few weeks. You have these coloring appointments that easily run into the hundreds of dollars, and the clients are fiercely loyal.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe best of all, it's an industry that seems completely immune to digital disruption. I mean, you can't download a haircut, right?
No, you definitely can.
You can't outsource a balayage to a server farm somewhere.
Yeah.
It just looks like this turnkey path to absolute wealth.
It undeniably projects that image, But the reality is actually a completely different story.
A very different story.
Yeah, when you sit down, open the books, and actually track a single dollar from the client's wallet all the way down to the owner's bank account, that whole illusion of a turnkey gold mine it vanishes pretty quickly.
And that is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We're looking at this fascinating analytical breakdown from our source material today, a piece called Beyond the Chair.
It's a really eye-opening breakdown.
It is. So we are going to strip away the glamorous aesthetic, the brass mirrors, the expensive decor, the complimentary coffees, and expose the cold, hard economic numbers of running a salon.
Because it turns out it is not a gold mine at all.
Not even close. It is actually a razor-thin margin game.
A very dangerous game if you don't know the rules. I mean, to make an actual six-figure passive profit in this industry, an owner has to navigate an absolute minefield.
Yeah, they have to avoid a series of financial and, honestly, psychological traps that ultimately end up sinking about 90% of all independent salons. Okay, so let's unpack this, because if you want to understand why this industry is so incredibly tough behind the scenes, you have to look at the biggest culprit eating away at those supposed riches.
Right.
And it comes down to a single 5-letter word: labor.
Yeah, labor. Since labor is the primary driving force in literally any service-based business, we really have to start by examining the owner's personal relationship to that labor.
Right, how they view their own work.
Exactly, because the very first trap that ruins salon owners isn't even really a math problem initially. It is an ego problem.
An ego problem.
It's a huge psychological blind spot. A massive portion of owners think they are running a highly profitable business, but they're actually just lying to themselves.
The source material calls this the behind-the-chair illusion. Up to 90% of small salons only look profitable on paper because the owner is personally working full-time behind a styling chair, just grinding it out day after day.
Let's slow down and look at the actual scenario of how this traps people.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Imagine you are an owner-operator. You opened your own place because you love the craft, you love your clients, and you are fantastic at hair.
Makes sense.
You're working 40 hours a week on your feet, cutting and coloring. And at the end of the year, you sit down with your accountant, you do your bookkeeping, and you see that you are taking home $90,000.
Which feels amazing. I mean, you go to your friends, you go to your family, and you proudly claim, hey, my business made a $90,000 profit this year. I am a successful entrepreneur.
Right, but there is a massive flaw in that statement. You have to separate your personal wages from your actual business profit.
Okay, how so?
Well, this brings up a critical financial concept called enterprise profit.
Enterprise profit.
Yeah, enterprise profit is the actual return on the business asset itself, completely separate from the physical labor you personally sweat into it.
I see.
If you want to know if you actually own a business, ask yourself a few questions, like what happens if you get injured?
Right. What if you break your wrist skiing or something?
Exactly. Or what if you simply burn out and want to step back from cutting hair to actually manage and grow the brand?
Well, if you step away from the chair, the revenue just stops. Unless, of course, you replace yourself.
And replacing yourself is incredibly expensive. You have to hire a stylist to replace your hands. If you are taking home $90,000 because you are a top-tier stylist, you need to hire a top-tier stylist to take over your demanding client book.
Oh, wow. So you have to pay them appropriately.
Right. You have to pay their market rate commission and you have to cover their payroll taxes. According to the breakdown in the source material, bringing in talent of that caliber is going to cost you roughly $70,000.
Wait, wow. Okay, so out of that $90,000 you proudly thought was your business profit, 70,000 just evaporates into thin air the very second you stop physically doing the work yourself.
Leaving you with the hard truth. Your true enterprise profit, like the actual passive money the business generated for you purely as an owner, is only $20,000.
That's crazy.
The other $70,000 was literally just you paying yourself a salary for a really hard job.
So it's essentially like buying a state-of-the-art commercial food truck, right?
Yeah, good analogy.
You deck it out with the most expensive grills and fryers. You wrap it in gorgeous branding. But you are forced to be the sole line cook forever.
Forever.
If the business cannot survive without your hands physically holding the scissors or, flipping the burgers, you haven't actually built a business.
Never at all.
You've just bought yourself an incredibly expensive, high-stress job that happens to come with a massive commercial lease attached to it.
That analogy hits the nail right on the head. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this psychological trap prevents owners from actually scaling their operations.
Because they're stuck.
Right. When you confuse your manual labor wages with your business profit, you get stuck in survival mode. You can never step away to open a second location.
You don't have the time or the actual funds.
Exactly. You can never expand your marketing. You just become a hostage to your own styling chair, masking a barely surviving business model with your own endless sweat equity.
Here is where it gets really interesting, though. Let's say the owner listens to this. They have that epiphany, and they realize they fell into the trap.
Okay.
They decide they don't want to just buy a job anymore.
Huh.
So they step back, they hang up their scissors, they hire a full team of talented stylists to fill all the chairs, and they start charging premium prices.
The dream scenario.
Right. Now we are back to that goldmine assumption we started with. When you or I walk in, we see a $100 service on the menu. We see all the chairs full, and we naturally assume the owner's just sitting in the back office, swimming in cash, keeping at least half of that money.
Yep.
But where does that $100 actually go?
It disappears way faster than you can imagine. If you truly want to understand the fragility of the salon model, you have to trace every single penny of a transaction.
Line by line.
You can't just look at the top line revenue. You have to look at the bleed-in.
Let's do it. Let's walk through the exact step-by-step breakdown of a single, crisp $100 bill paid at the front counter. Snip by snip.
Okay, the very first cut is the deepest, and it goes back to our 5-letter word. Out of that $100, $40 to $45 goes straight to the stylist's commission and their associated payroll taxes.
Wait, that is nearly half the bill. Gone instantly.
Instantly.
But wait, if I'm the owner, why wouldn't I just lower their commission? Like, if margins are tight, why not just pay them 30%? The source material makes it clear that labor is an immovable cost, taking 35 to 50% of every dollar. Why is it immovable?
Because you are held hostage by the talent.
Hostage?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty industry is driven entirely by personal relationships. If you have a top-tier stylist who brings in a massive book of business, they hold all the leverage.
Oh, I see.
If you try to squeeze their commission from 45% down to 30%, they won't just politely accept it.
Right, they'll leave.
They will walk 3 blocks down the street to your competitor, text every single one of their loyal clients, and take all of that revenue with them. You simply cannot negotiate your way out of labor costs in a talent-driven service business.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. You have to pay to keep the talent happy. So we got $55 left.
Next, you have to keep a premium roof over everyone's head. Clients expect a certain aesthetic, right?
Right.
That takes $10 to $12 for rent and occupancy costs.
Okay, so let's say we are down to $43.
Then you have the physical materials for the service. $5 to $8 goes to chemical products.
Like the dyes.
Yeah, your high-end dyes, the developers, the foils, plus the back bar shampoo and conditioner you use at the washing station. And remember, chemical costs fluctuate constantly based on supply chain.
Okay, so that knocks us down to $35.
Then you have your administrative overhead. You need liability insurance. You need a bookkeeper to track all these complex commissions. You need an accountant. That eats up another $5 to $7.
Wow. Down to 28.
You also need to keep new clients coming in the door to replace the ones who move away. Marketing, advertising, and social media management will take another $3 to $5.
Hey, now we're at $23 left. This is shrinking fast.
And we absolutely cannot forget utilities. I mean, think about the infrastructure of a salon.
Oh, right, all the hot water.
You are running heavy-duty industrial water heaters nonstop, and you have power-hungry blow dryers pulling massive amperage all day long. Water and power utilities take another $3 to $4.
$19 left.
You need a seamless way for clients to schedule their appointments online. Your digital booking software takes $2 to $3.
Down to $16.
And finally, the sheer privilege of accepting that client's credit card at the front desk.
No, the fees?
Yep, the merchant processing fee eats another $2 to $3.
Leaving the owner with, what, $8 to $12?
That is the reality. After all that chaos, managing the different personalities, taking on the massive risk of the commercial lease, the owner keeps just $8 to $12 out of that original $100 bill.
Oh, hold on, I have to push back on this.
Yeah.
Because if an 8 to 12% net profit margin is considered a healthy, solvent salon in this industry, this whole thing sounds like a terrifying house of cards.
It really can be.
If success means keeping 10 cents on the dollar on a good day, what happens if a pipe bursts? What happens if the air conditioning goes out in the middle of July and you have to close the shop for 3 days? Do they just go instantly bankrupt?
That is the terror of the industry, and it's exactly why running a profitable salon requires what the analysis calls surgical precision.
Surgical precision.
Yes, you are constantly walking a tightrope. You absolutely cannot just open the doors, make the space look trendy, and expect passive income to roll in. You have to aggressively manage every single penny. There is zero room for sloppy accounting or wasteful inventory management.
Which brings us to a massive realization. If you are only keeping 8% of what comes in, you have to ruthlessly optimize what you are actually selling.
Exactly.
You have to squeeze every single ounce of efficiency out of that space.
And this leads to the third major trap that the source material identifies, which is entirely counterintuitive. It's called the menu illusion.
Right, because if I'm a salon owner and I suddenly realize my margins are this brutal, my immediate panic move is going to be forcing my staff to upsell.
Of course.
I would assume I should just push my stylist to sell the absolute most expensive services on the menu. Just push the big-ticket color treatments. More gross revenue, it means more net profit kept, right?
It sounds perfectly logical, but the analysis proves that assumption is mathematically flawed.
How so?
It comes down to failing to understand the single most important metric in the entire salon business. Revenue per labor hour, or RPLH.
Revenue per labor hour. Let's dig into that.
Most novice owners just look at the absolute ticket price printed on the menu. But smart owners look at the clock. RPLH calculates exactly how much cash a single styling chair generates per hour of occupied time. Remember, your physical space is finite. You only have a set number of chairs, and you only have a set number of operating hours in the day. Time, not price, is your ultimate constraint.
Let's visualize this with some audio math, because this completely changed how I look at salon menus. Imagine 2 styling chairs side by side.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's look at chair A. This client is getting the big ticket item, a full elaborate color treatment priced at $180.
On the surface, bringing in $180 from a single client sounds like a massive win for the morning.
It does. But let's apply the RPLH formula. That complex color treatment takes a long time, usually about 3 full hours of chair time.
Right.
The client's sitting there, drinking your coffee, reading a magazine, occupying real estate. It uses a lot of materials. You're spending about $35 in raw chemical products.
So we subtract that out.
Yep, so you take the $180, subtracts the $35 product cost, and you're left with $145 in gross service revenue.
Now, take that $145 and divide it by the 3 hours it took to perform the service.
Let's see, that gives you $48.33. That premium big ticket color treatment generates about $48 per labor hour.
Okay, now let's look over at chair B. This chair is focused on a basic precision haircut priced at $70.
$70 is way less than half the price of the color treatment. It seems way less valuable to the business.
Initially, sure.
But a haircut only takes 45 minutes, and it uses basically nothing in supplies. Maybe $2 for some shampoo and a little styling pomade.
Exactly.
So you take the $70, subtract the $2 in supplies, and you have $68 in gross service revenue.
And here is where the magic happens. When you divide that $68 by the 45 minutes, which is 0.75 of an hour, what is the actual revenue per labor hour?
It generates $90.67 per labor hour. Wait, so the cheaper service actually makes the business almost double the money per hour compared to the premium service.
You're turning over the chair. In the exact same 3-hour window that Chair A had one client yielding $145, Chair B cycled through 4 haircut clients,
Wow.
yielding over $270 in service revenue with virtually zero chemical costs.
Haircuts are pure cash efficiency. They move fast, they use almost no product, and they free up the chair for the next paying client.
They generate momentum. You aren't burning through expensive developer and foil. You are just maximizing the sheer utility of the space and the stylist's time.
So what does this all mean? If I am a smart salon owner and I am looking at this glaring math, shouldn't I just ban coloring altogether?
Oh, wow.
Like, should I just rip out the mixing stations, fire the color specialist, turn my gorgeous shop into a rapid-fire haircut factory, and just maximize my RPLH all day long?
It is so tempting, but the analysis explicitly warns against that kind of overcorrection.
Okay, why?
You don't want to ban coloring, because coloring services still serve a vital ecosystem purpose. First, they drive absolute gross dollars, which helps you cover your massive fixed costs like that commercial lease much faster.
Oh, that makes sense. You still need big chunks of cash to pay the rent.
Exactly. But more importantly, complex color drives essential customer loyalty.
Oh, right. The switching costs for a client are way too high. I mean, a client might cheat on their regular stylist for a quick trim if they're out of town, but they rarely cheat on the person who successfully formulates their platinum blonde highlights.
Yo, way!
You don't want to risk someone frying your hair.
The trust required for color is immense. However, understanding your revenue per labor hour completely dictates the entire operational strategy of the business.
How so?
It changes how an owner should market the salon, how they schedule their staff, and how they build their internal systems. If you know haircuts are your most cash-efficient engine, you might market haircuts heavily on social media to get new people in the door. You might schedule strategically so a stylist can knock out a highly profitable, quick haircut in an empty chair while their color client is sitting in the corner with foils processing in their hair.
You double dip on the labor hour.
You build a symbiotic system. You use the complex color to build the deep loyalty and guarantee the high ticket size, but you use the rapid-fire haircuts in between to subsidize the processing time and drive the actual profit margin up. That is the surgical precision required to survive.
Which brings us back to the big picture synthesis. We started this deep dive with you sitting in that sunlit salon chair, listening to the hairdryers, looking around at the beautiful decor, assuming this industry was an absolute goldmine.
The illusion.
We stripped away the brass mirrors, traced the $100 bill down to a terrifying $8, and realized it's actually a brutal razor-thin margin game. So, looking at all the stress, the tightrope walk, the constant management of talent, is it even worth a headache? Why would anyone take on a massive commercial lease to do this?
It is absolutely worth it, but only if you fundamentally shift what you view as your core asset. A salon is a financial trap only if the owner falls into those blind spots we discussed.
The traps.
Right. If you stubbornly rely on your personal labor to keep the lights on, if you fly blind on your metrics and ignore your hourly revenue, and if you constantly discount your services just to fill empty chairs, you are going to drown.
But if you embrace the math.
If you embrace the math, it changes everything. If you build tight, structured commission tiers so your labor costs don't spiral out of control, if you utilize automated digital booking software to ensure those chairs are constantly utilized without gaps, and if you ruthlessly track your revenue per labor hour to optimize your schedule, that modest 10% net margin suddenly compounds beautifully across 10 or 15 chairs.
Because it becomes scalable.
You can replicate a well-managed system, you can open a second location, a third location. You can't replicate yourself.
And that is the ultimate key takeaway from Beyond the Chair. The leather salon chairs themselves are not the asset. The brass mirrors on the wall are not the asset.
Definitely not.
The expensive commercial lease in the trendy neighborhood is definitely not the asset. The system you build, the math, the strategic scheduling, the software automation, the RPLH optimization, that invisible system is the true asset.
It is the only thing that separates an exhausting, high-stress job from a genuine, wealth-generating business.
So if the ultimate value of a salon really is just the operational system, And as we learned, labor, the stylists themselves, is the single biggest immovable cost eating into those already thin margins. It leaves us with a pretty massive, provocative question about the future of this entire industry.
It sure does.
What happens to traditional salon owners when their top-tier stylists finally figure this out? When those stylists realize they don't actually need the owner's brass mirrors, and they figure out how to replicate that cheap booking and marketing software on their own smartphones.
It's totally doable now.
As technology makes these business systems cheaper and easier for a single person to run, will the traditional salon model even survive the rise of the empowered independent stylist?
It's a massive structural shift, and it's the exact existential threat every owner is going to have to face in the next decade.
Something to mull over the next time you're sitting in that sunlit chair, sipping your sparkling water, calculating the gold mine. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.